and welcome. You are listening to At Home with Ifeno. Here, we'll talk about helping women know and understand their worth, find fulfillment in who they are, and in what they do. Every other week, we'll talk about your identity as a woman, discovering your unique purpose, intentionally raising the next generation, and your influence in homemaking. I am your host, Ifoma Neka Omoni. Hello, and welcome to At Home with Ifeno. How are you doing today? It's a great day to be alive. Are you on your way to work? Is it morning, afternoon, or evening? Whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world, I welcome you to another interesting and informative time on At Home with Ifeno. I want you to relax, feel at home, even if you are not in your physical home space, and listen. It promises to be a rewarding time. The investment of this time will not be wasted in any way. So how are you doing? There's something that has been on my mind, and that's what informed today's focus. Our topic or focus for today is fighting corruption starts from home. Fighting corruption starts from home. Wow. Corruption is a very big word. And corruption is in every part of the world. It's not unique to a particular country or a particular group of people. Do you know that it has been from the beginning, right from the fall of man? When sin came, corruption came. But many of us think that there is no way corruption can be fought. I'm here to say, I think it can, and it starts from you and I. Yes, I said you and I. So, like we said, our topic again is fighting corruption starts from home. What is corruption? It's a very broad topic, and I'll just be sharing few thoughts and information or what I think we can do to fight this menace in our society, and it begins from home. Corruption is referred to a change from the original state to one regarded as erroneous or debased. So when you talk about corruption, it means that something had a particular form or a particular system was supposed to work in a particular way, but suddenly something like a virus, whatever you want to call it, mixture, something that changed the entire original state of that particular thing, individual, system, whatever you want to call it, bringing it to a debased state, a degenerate state. It's spoiled. An unusual or unsound experience, an experience you don't want to have again. That is one way we could see corruption. Corruption could also be seen as a form of dishonesty or criminal offense, which is undertaken by a person or an organization which has been entrusted in a position of authority in order to acquire illicit benefits. Wow. In summary, I would just like to put it in this simple form. Corruption is abuse of entrusted power for personal gain. I'll take that again. Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for one's personal gain. So, how can we now fight corruption? If we say we are fighting something, it means that it's something that is wrong, it's something that is not appreciated, it's something that we don't want to see around. And to fight has to do with, the first thing that comes to mind when you are talking about fighting is, a physical struggle and maybe exchange of blows or whatever means you want to call fight. So a fight is a struggle to overcome and eliminate or prevent. So like our topic says, fighting corruption starts from home. Preventing the abuse of entrusted power for personal gain begins from home. And why do I have this thought pattern? We all come from homes. We did not just appear on planet Earth, as in we didn't just fall from the sky. No. God was so good and kind. After he created Adam and Eve, he put the system of reproduction and human beings being born through the family system. So the home is an institution. And I always hear when people say corruption is thriving because we do not have strong institutions. So I am here to remind us that one of the most important institutions I believe is able and will be able to fight against corruption is our home, because it was instituted by God. God instituted marriage, which is the first system for human beings to grow, to develop, to thrive. And then from it, you now have children and a home is created. A home is beyond just the building, the house where we live. It comprises of individuals that are together. They have a belief system, a value system. They have inculcated a culture in that group or that unit. So our home ought to be a strong institution. So when we are talking about institution, yes, we have the government and every other facet of institutions, but I'm here to say that our homes are the number one and ordained institutions by God. So that is where we can start the fight. That is where we can prevent. So it is not a physical exchange of blows that we are giving to corruption. No, we are trying to prevent, to eliminate as much as we can in our environment, in our society, in our country. Remove that abuse of entrusted power, because in the home, as a husband and a wife, we have been entrusted with power. We all have our roles to play. So when that power that has been given to us in marriage is abused for our personal gain, that is corruption. Corruption is not just about siphoning funds, money. Yes, that is part of it, but it's more than that. It has to do with when you are not using the power you have been given in the right way, and you are using it, taking advantage of other people that are in that group or unit just for your own personal gains, illicit gains that are not going to be for the good of the entire family. So like I said, we all come from homes. The home is the first school, and our parents, we parents, are the first teachers. Corruption is carried out by people who have been groomed from homes. We didn't just fall. So when we are pointing fingers to leaders in organizations, in businesses, in the legislature, in the federal government, we all have that tendency to believe that the problem is not with us that are not in those offices, but the problem starts with you and I. Because these people that have gotten to these leadership positions were once babies. They grew to be children. They grew to be adults. So What were they taught? What was inculcated into them? What were their values? Because it is what you have, you will give. So it is not accidental or coincidental. Dear listeners, the reflection of the nation is from what we see at home. Our homes are reflected in the larger society. So that is why I believe that for us to fight corruption, it starts from home. What are the causes of corruption? And how can we see these causes even from our individual homes? The first one I would like to speak about is lack of order or laws. Some people might say, wow, ifeno, laws and order at home. Yes, when there is no form of direction, when things are done haphazardly, when there is no form of vision, then things will just be done in disarray. There will be confusion. And even when you have the laws and the order, even when you have said this is what this family is supposed to be known for, and there is no enforcement. Enforcement has to do with following up with the laws and orders you have already said. This is how this family is going to be run. This is how we are going to do our things. These are the things we believe. And it doesn't just end in the words we speak, but we go ahead and make sure that we follow through, that we enforce those things, that our children believe that we are not just speaking, but they see us also implementing what we have said we are going to do at home. That is one of the causes. Lack of order and enforcement of order and laws at home is the primary, I see it as the primary cause of corruption. The second thing that happens at home is a lack of accountability and transparency. Lack of accountability and transparency. When we as parents, spouses are not open to each other. So you see that it's like we are playing Tom and Jerry, hide and seek. When as spouses, we don't even know how the sources of our income comes up, you know. When as spouses, we don't know what we earn or what we really do. We just see that money is coming in and we are not finding out, questioning. It's not because we don't trust our spouse, but I believe that when there is transparency and a sense of accountability, it will help us check ourselves. We will know that we don't just take decisions just because we feel like it, because we are now a unit at home. So the husband and the wife are able to communicate openly. They are transparent. They know where each other, where we go, what we spend our time doing. So a lack of this transparency and accountability is what can enhance corruption. And like I said, it begins from home. The last point I will also say that causes corruption, which can also be evident at home, is the wrong association. Why do I bring up association? It says in a verse in the Bible that bad company corrupts good character. Bad company corrupts good character. In another way, it says, evil companions will corrupt good morals and character. Evil companions, evil associations, evil relationships will corrupt good morals and character. So even when we have groomed ourselves, we have groomed our children, your children will not be living only in your house. They will leave your house and go out. They will go to schools. They will meet other people that might not have your values. So are we grooming our children in a way that even when they go out and they meet people living contrary to your home's values and what you have set out to be known for, that they can withstand such associations, that they can say, no, this is not the friendship I should be close to. This is not the friend I should be close to. These are not the friendships I should have, so that I don't get corrupted. Remember that we said corruption is a change from the original state that is regarded as erroneous. So you could be grooming your children, telling them the right things to do, but if you don't also prepare their minds that when they go out, they are going to meet people of different character, people with different ideologies, but they should always remember who they are and what they stand for, and that they should not be in close relationships with people that will not encourage them to stand for their values. These are the three main causes that can encourage corruption, and it all begins from home. So how do we solve this? How do we try to solve these problems that I have highlighted? The first one is our value system. You know, we live in a world now when it's like anything goes, anything can happen. You know, sometimes when I see the way some of us behave when we see some things happening outside in the society and our response. So now we have a lot of people that are not compassionate, no form of empathy. Something negative is happening. Somebody is maybe being molested or abused or in pain in an accident. Rather than giving help or even looking for how that person can be relieved, you just find out that people are more interested in having a video shot or a picture of what is happening. No form of compassion, no form of empathy. Where are our values? Where is the value for human life? And like I said, this starts from home. So what are our values as a family? Values are actually standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. Your values will determine the choices you make and will eventually create your lifestyle. The things that you look at before you make decisions are what your values are. Does your family and your home have values? If yes, do your children and even yourself as spouse, your spouse and your children, or anyone living under your roof, do they know what these values are? The value system of a family or a home are those sets of beliefs, attitudes that we have all said, this is what we are going to be known for. These are the things that will determine the choices we make, the kind of friends we have, the things we do, the things we will not even accept. So our values are very important. And I want to encourage you, dear listeners, if you don't have family values, we need to be deliberate about family values, because it will help in curbing, in eliminating, in reducing corruption in the larger society. So family values will help in solving that problem of lack of order and then the enforcement. Our children see us more than they hear us. I know that sounds ironical. So it is what they see us practice that is more ingrained in their minds than just what we say. They listen to what we say. They will remember our words when we speak to them over and over. But what we do, what we practice in their presence is what will stick longer, is what will stay with them even when they grow as adults and become these leaders of tomorrow that we have already said about them. So it is our actions that will speak louder than our words. So let us be deliberate about values in our homes. Let us tell our children, let's sit as a family and discuss this. And from time to time, let the choices that are made, let the things that we do reflect what we have decided are our family values. And then the transparency and accountability. So taking things, for example, we find out that children could come home with things that don't belong to them. As small as a pencil or a toy or something that doesn't belong to them, as young as they might be, let us start telling them that you don't bring things that are not your own. Because many of us see corruption as taking money, taking things. It starts gradually. So if your child comes back home with something that doesn't belong to them, what is your reaction? What do you say and what do you do? Do you tell them that no, you don't do this, and ensure the enforcement of that law or that order or that value you have said about integrity or being content with what you have, is by making sure that that item that was brought home which doesn't belong to your child is returned back. That is where the enforcement is. It's not just for us to say it and we just leave it there. Sometimes we as parents, we don't encourage our children even in being honest. We hear of us parents buying exam papers for our children to make sure that they pass at all costs, instead of encouraging them to be diligent, to be hardworking, to pay the price for success by being studious. These are the things we need to enforce. And when our children see too that we are living out what we are saying, it will be easy to fight this corruption right from home. So let us be transparent. Let our children and our spouses know what is going on, where you work, what you do. Let there be no secrecy, because these are the things that will go out to the larger society and bring about the corruption that we are saying it is our leaders. Remember, the leaders were once followers. The leaders were once back at home before they went out even to do whatever they are doing. So we need to fight corruption from home. It all begins from home. I would like to end with a quote by Mother Teresa. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. I really love this quote. If you want to change the world, if you want to fight corruption, go home and love your family. And what does it mean to love your family? It's beyond just buying things or saying I love you. Love is to bring about the highest good in another person, or bring about the highest good in something. So you know that your children, your spouse, and those in your immediate environment can be the best they can be. Love is about correction. If you don't correct ourselves, which might not be pleasant at that time, if we don't correct our children, if we don't correct ourselves, even our spouses, then we don't truly love ourselves. So Mother Teresa is saying that change that we want to see in our country, that change that we want to see in our organization, that change we want to see outside, we should go home and start from home. Another quote says, charity begins at home. So can you see why I said fighting corruption starts from home? It begins with you and I, dear listeners. It begins with us at home. It begins with our families. When we have better families, we will have a better society. The picture we see outside in our society is a reflection of the homes that we are building. So let us see corruption not just about taking money in the office or taking funds from public funds from government, but let us see it as something that we can start curbing, preventing, fighting back at home. Do our children have this entitlement mentality? Because that is what many people have grown up with, and they don't feel that they owe any accountability to anybody. So are we raising entitled children? Are we encouraging children not to be diligent, not to be hardworking? Many of us say we don't want our children to suffer what we suffered. It depends on how you want to see suffering. So if our children don't see life in its reality, yes, we want a better future for them. But does that mean we should leave them, not correct them, and allow them to just have their way and live a disorderly life? Nobody can correct them, nobody can talk to them. No. So the fight against corruption begins at home. I just want to remind us that we have an email address that you could send your concerns, send your things that you would like us to discuss on At Home with Ifeno to athomewithifeno@gmail.com. At Home with Ifeno, all in small letters, @gmail.com. I will respond to your mail as soon as we get your mail. So if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. Be the change you expect to see outside. Fighting corruption starts from home. Thanks for joining us this week on At Home with Ifeno. Check us out on Instagram @Ifeno17. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next in 2 weeks' time.